This is a Clouds weather alert.
Good late Tuesday, early Wednesday meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center giving you the latest information right now on a severe weather threat as we do look ahead in toward that timeline for your Thursday. Unfortunately, having to turn that logo red because there's enough of a potential. It's not overwhelming, but it is definitely there as we're looking ahead toward that Thursday here. So we'll dive into that here in just a moment as we're just passing that midnight hour here. I will go ahead and currently look here at what's going on at this moment toward North Florida and South Georgia, where you can see 65 degrees. That's the temperature right now toward Tallahassee. 61 there around Keystone. You kind of get the idea. 60s on the board in many spots. But we do have some 50s creeping on in where I'm at here east of Stark. We're at 59.5. So kind of giving you guys an idea of some of those readings here across the region at this hour. You see a little bit of moisture toward the Gulf of Mexico, and now that's kind of a sign of things to come here. We have quite a bit more moisture that's going to be working its way toward our area here. I know we had that nor'easter set up here. That's kind of relaxing, but now it's going to be a situation here where we're going to have to pay attention for a potential here, maybe for some strong and severe storms of the low pressure coming out of the Gulf of Mexico here. We'll kind of see that as it moves towards the Gulf Coast. Now, at this point, not expected to become tropical. It's really early in the season, or I mean, it's before the season, but it's really early here, just in the seasons in general, even for tropical development here, and it's kind of unlikely, so I wouldn't really worry too much about it. Honestly, it still is going to kind of resemble a weak tropical system, a weak subtropical system as it heads toward that Louisiana, Mississippi coastline here, but we'll be on that eastern side of things, the nastier side, so I'm going to have to watch out for some gusty winds here, heavy downpours, and even isolated tornadoes here on your Thursday, so just on a lookout for that. It's not a major potential, but it's definitely there. It's not impossible here, Roy, not impossible that we end up having a tornado watch issued for portions of our area, even as we're looking ahead toward the timeline. But right now, you can just see here not too much going on in terms of that moisture on the radar that we're able to see. But let's go ahead and go to satellite. You'll kind of see a little bit more here as we get out toward the Gulf of Mexico, and just kind of we'll be watching to see how things evolve on us here as we look later on in toward that timeline. Definitely be kind of interesting to see that here. But let's get back into that local area view for now. We'll go ahead and turn some things off here at this point and just go ahead and continue to show you some of those temperature readings. I mean, you can see 67 is toward there toward parts of Volusia County right now on the land. That's one of the spots that's a little bit warmer even here just outside of our 62 counties. So just kind of interesting to see that here with the grand scheme of things. We'll just continue to watch things here in the Weather Center as we do look ahead into toward that Thursday here. Going to be, again, probably a pretty busy day with on and off storm chances here where we do end up having some severe weather possible within some of that banding here that comes on through. So just kind of continue to monitor things. Follow me here on the different platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. Just I'll go ahead and pop those up real quick just to remind everybody at home, even if you're maybe on one source but prefer another. These are already different sources we're on, so just kind of keep that in mind here. You can see YouTube at Clouds Weather. That's one of the sources you have, so you can subscribe there. Even hit that bell icon. I know that is a way to go ahead and get alerted whenever I come on with a live stream. So just some different options for you guys here to make note of. But I'll go ahead and kind of continue along now here in this show. We'll go ahead and take a look at some of those cameras here from across the area. At least let's take a look at one of them out toward Jacksonville. You'll be able to kind of see what's going on in Duval County right now as we get that Florida 511 look at things on the screen here. You can definitely see some of this stuff loading into our system here. I-95 at Hendricks Avenue. Definitely giving you guys a pretty good view. Things look pretty quiet out there right now. That's definitely some good news as we're looking out there, as we're kind of just giving you that viewpoint across the area. So let's go ahead now, though. We'll move away from the Florida 511 perspective and come back on over here right now to that other viewpoint here real quick before I get along in the show a little bit. we'll go ahead and now pop on up the graphics so you can see here that outlook for that Thursday of severe weather. We'll get another update on this here in a little bit, and I suspect we'll see more of North Florida and South Georgia, maybe even all of it encompassed here, and at least a marginal risk of 1 out of 5. Some areas may ultimately get upgraded to a 2 out of 5 even, so that's enough here where you really start thinking about tornado watch here as a possibility, but nothing overwhelming. But what I mean by weaker tornadoes here in general, as we look at a Hands Vegeta scale now, you can see EF0s to EF1s here. That's kind of what I'm talking about. So light to moderate damage here. I mean, a tornado is a tornado, though, and it can still be very dangerous. So just keep that in mind. We're not talking about mini tornadoes. We're talking about scattered activity here that could be capable of producing some of those tornadoes. So just kind of keep that in mind here. This is an odd pattern that is a little bit unpredictable here. We could always just end up with more about the wind here coming on through versus some of that tornadic activity. So that's definitely something we'll just continue to watch here as we look ahead as we get closer toward the event here, which is a little more than 24 hours out. So if we have some risk upgrades here, we'll let you know as necessary. But again, that's something to kind of be watching here. I know you can't predict this stuff ahead of time. In general, this is where you would get in a tropical environment here that has rotation within the storms. So let's go ahead and see. You guys are covered here. Of course, we're always on for any tornado warning storm moving through one of our 62 counties. I'm very committed to doing that here, being live on those platforms that we were mentioning here a moment ago. We've been doing it for every tornado warning storm or live coverage. I know at first we weren't able to do all the platforms, but live coverage there on a platform there for every tornado warning storm to move through any one of our 62 counties since late 2019. That's very important. And we were on Saturday there for that stuff, that rogue accident popping up in Columbia County. Didn't really get any damage there, but toward Lake City, toward Union and Baker counties as well, ended up having some tornadic activity that we were watching, at least in terms of radar indicated rotation. Again, nothing confirmed. Some funnel cloud reports coming on out, but nothing in terms of a confirmed tornado. So that's some good news here for sure. But we'll just continue to be monitoring things here just in case. Again, our 62 county area, you can get this map on demand there, cloudweather.com/live. So I just kind of keep that in mind. And here's our rainfall forecast here for the next 3 days. I kind of isolated things because that's where most of that rainfall is going to fall. Most of it really on that Thursday here in that time frame. So you can see more toward Louisiana where the low pressure will be tracking there in that general direction. Some areas there could get on this forecast showing upwards of about 5-6 inches of rain. So just keep that in mind, southeast Louisiana. But as we're looking toward our area, we're going to be seeing amounts there generally in that 1 inch range, but some areas 1.5 inches. I mean, not inconceivable that some areas here could get over 2 or 3 inches even in very isolated spots. So keep that in the back of your mind. Again, just trying to give you guys the latest information here, and you can always look at the interactive radar when we're not on the air at cloudweather.com there/radar. So important tool that you can use there that's at your disposal. And then unfortunately I might have to keep that logo red for Friday. It's a little uncertain at this point, but the logo is red for our local thread on Thursday. We're just concerned enough. It's an odd setup here that we don't typically get. It's a more tropical type setup. Kind of reminds me of a tropical system we had there in the summer months back in 2020 even that made landfall out toward the west, but we had some tornadic activity in the Sunshine State. So but looking here at that Friday risk, this is something that we'll kind of dive into later as necessary, but you see Dallas, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Wichita there. Under this severe potential, it's kind of uncertain exactly what the biggest potential will be out of this in terms of hazard, but we'll continue to watch here and give you the latest. But of course, tornado safety tips are always important to kind of keep in mind here. Just stay tuned for the latest and turn those devices whenever a tornado watch is issued. Multiple ways to receive alerts whenever a tornado warning is issued. That means a tornado has been detected using radar there or spotters to try to avoid taking shelter in a mobile home. If you can, get inside a sturdy building and put as many walls between you and the outside as possible to protect yourself from flying debris. Put on a bicycle helmet. So some very important information to keep in mind here as we look at the tornado safety tips both locally and nationally here. So just kind of something to make sure you take note of. You can get our tornado safety tip information, a similar graphic. They're available at cloudweather.com/severe. So let's go ahead and see right now, though, that extended outlook, that 7-day forecast, you can see 30% chance of rain here as we look later today. Now it's after midnight, but an 80% chance of rain on that Thursday. Quite a bit of cover to that moisture will be around. It won't be an all-day thing. There'll be some breaks in there, but pretty much everybody will see some storminess here. So we just have to be kind of aware. Some of that stuff will have the potential to rotate, or maybe even as we look there, maybe even some damaging wind. Maybe we get some banding there later in the afternoon that evolve into damaging wind potentials. So again, we'll just have to kind of be monitoring and be on our toes here just in case. It's kind of, again, something we're not really certain about because we don't get that type of parameter space here in terms of that low and everything setting up in a more tropical fashion too often, because it's really reminiscent of a weaker tropical storm or subtropical storm making landfall to the west, and then we are in that eastern side, that dirty side, the northeastern quadrant even. So we'll just have to continue to be mindful here of what can happen as the timeline does go on. You can see rain chances dropping off toward Friday there, 40%. Saturday, 10%. It kind of bounces back up as we have some frontal system accent coming in, 40% on that Sunday. And then as we get toward Monday, I'll go ahead and step on over now for that Monday. For that Tuesday here, you guys can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. 80 degrees on that Monday there, 84 on that Tuesday. So starting to warm back up, and then your averages here, you kind of see them 58. We're going to be hitting that pretty much Monday morning. But you see kind of behind me, some of those days will have above average lows, even with that cloud cover from that storminess. And then you can see here these average highs. Well, will kind of be generally above average, but some days here we'll be seeing a little bit different pictures. So where we're closer to that average mark. So like Wednesday, Thursday, and it's been kind of cool lately. Looking at my information here, I mean, even my anemometer with the wind. I mean, we were gusting there on Tuesday 18 miles an hour, Monday 20, and Sunday 19 miles an hour with the high only 65 on that Easter. As we look there, 67 on that Monday. And then as I get over toward that Tuesday, 72. So starting to warm up some. You can see that warming trend here on the 7-day. We had a little bit of moisture there on Tuesday, 500 of an inch here east of Stark. Not really much on Monday, showing up, but then 200 on Sunday. So interesting is to kind of look at some of those different trends here in the weather center. But let's go ahead and now bring you back on over right now to that current viewpoint right now across the region. Again, things look pretty calm here at this point. Still some of that rip current threat lingering though towards some of those East Coast beaches. So just kind of keep that in mind here as we're looking at things. I just want to be extra careful still. Those rip currents can definitely be problematic here at times. So just be kind of weather aware in terms of that even. I mean, the rip current statements, things like that. Just got to be kind of paying attention here. I know that potential can definitely be something to watch. And just kind of looking at our area as a whole, I know that spring football game for the Gators on Thursday night. Hopefully the worst of the storms will be over by then, but you still got to kind of pay attention there toward Gainesville. And then at least for Saturday, now the activity plan, spring football activities planned for Florida State and Tallahassee, my alma mater. Things are looking pretty good, only about a 10% chance of activity there on that Saturday. So hopefully things will be good for the Gators and their activities there as we're looking later Thursday. But definitely looking more confident here in terms of that weather looking all right for Saturday. A little warm though, so maybe want to bring that sunscreen there if that sun starts to kind of be an issue. I know at least in the past, it's looking at 86 here on my screen. I know in the past can get sunburnt here at different events there. I mean, spring game's one of them. You just want to make sure you're protected there if that becomes a potential issue. Just thinking back from past experience even. But again, I think we pretty much covered everything we need to. Again, even if we don't get a subtropical system right now, and that's not really the forecast, that's not expected to develop here, and not expected to become Arlene or anything like that at this point. But even if it doesn't happen like that, still could have pretty similar impacts here. Again, on that eastern side of things, as we're looking toward parts of our region, North Florida, South Florida, all of our area would technically be on that eastern side here. And we'll just have to see how some of those wind shear values come together, some of the instability comes together. That could lead to some issues. Again, not an overwhelming threat. We maybe not always would turn our logo red for something like this, but there's enough uncertainty possibility here that things could kind of get out of hand if we're not careful, since this type of environment in a tropical setup would be a little bit more interesting here, where even the rainfall amounts might add up a little bit more than what you would expect here. So you got to keep that in mind too. Maybe sometimes if we really got the banding going here, the models could be underdoing stuff. Hopefully not, though. I mean, it'd be something that's not really put together. So again, it's not a huge deal here, but it's a big enough deal. You just want you to be alert on that Thursday. Thursday's not going to be a day where it's a complete washout, but it's going to be a disruptive day here to you, your friends, and your family. So if you're maybe getting those kids out to the bus stop or even coming home there, it could be an issue as well. This kind of depends on how the band's set up. It's something that we can't really get to pinpoint on, but we just need to be aware. And even that risk I was showing you out toward the west here, I would expect that to be expanded here, and maybe even get some categorical upgrade within it eventually. I'll go ahead and say this to you guys one more time, so we get a new informational update from them here pretty soon. But this is going to be your day 3 right now. It'll be day 2 here pretty soon. When that new update comes on out here in the night, you can get that at cloudweather.com there /severe. And then may even come across there at cloud_WX on Twitter as well. So kind of keep that in mind. So this is your risk there for that Thursday. But again, I expect pretty much all of us to be under a marginal risk. Maybe some of us even under a slight risk here as we look ahead in toward that timeline. You just got to kind of pay attention. Maybe things kind of underwhelm. There's a chance that could happen if we don't get the right parameters to come together. This could be a bust, but right now it does look like there'll be enough rotational parameters with instability that could lead us to some tornado warnings here in our area. So especially as you get further west, that would seem to be the story. But even East, our HRRR model kind of pinpointing some issues here for us as we do look ahead there. I know just kind of seeing some of those bands even come together here. Some of those bands even come together on us as we look further off toward North Central Florida and the First Coast on that Thursday afternoon, maybe even disrupting your evening commute. So it's a little bit tricky here. We'll keep you guys advised as we look at all of our information here in the Weather Center. Just be prepared. It's not something to stress out about. Again, this is not a higher end event. It's just we could have some warnings popping up. It seems like it'd be a pretty good bet we'd have some severe weather warnings popping up across the area, including some tornado warnings here, would seem a good possibility here within some of our 62 counties. So we're just going to be weather aware and prepared. But otherwise, then it pretty much covered everything that we need to cover here tonight. Just looking back at my notes one last time here. That'll do it for now. Meteorologist Casey Cloud. Have a good night.